Light is the highest risk, highest reward class in the finals. You make one wrong move, and it's over. So it's important to know how exactly to play to minimize your risk of dying and maximize your reward. With my medium guide, I focused a lot on synergy between your chosen specialization, weapon, and gadgets. Since as I described in that video, medium has very distinct playstyles for each specialization. Therefore, making sure your build meshes well to match your specialization optimally is a lot more important than with the light class. For light, synergizing your build, while still relevant, isn't as strategy defining as with medium, because light doesn't have as vast of a difference in playstyle per specialization, although there will still be differences in your approach that I'll get into. The goal of the light class is simple. You want to deal high damage, get high elims, and of course, survive long enough to do this. Surviving without a doubt being the most limiting factor of the three in accomplishing our goal. So to accomplish our goal, forming a strategy to both stay alive and find good opportunities to pick off targets is crucial, and that strategy is reflected in every specialization you can choose from and most class exclusive gadgets, making the synergy required for a good build partially already there without much thought. With almost everything that's class exclusive to light designed with at least one of these two things in mind, your build choices should be defined by which of these two you value more as a player. Taking what I just said into consideration leaves us with two ways to approach the light class, and perhaps a hybrid style. There's a playstyle more focused around creating otherwise non-existent attack opportunities, with the downside being a higher risk of death, and a playstyle focused around playing safer, meaning less risk of death, with the downside being having to wait for attack opportunities to present themselves rather than forcing them. To simplify things, we'll call the first playstyle the aggressive style, and the second playstyle the opportunistic style. But let's remember that the end goal is the same regardless of style, and one playstyle does not always fulfill this goal better than the other. There is no one-size-fits-all style or build. I've created a list of weapons, specializations, and gadgets suited to each playstyle, and you'll notice some choices are suited for both, because as discussed, the light class's synergy is partially already there. To summarize my two lists, the aggressive style is focused around creating attack opportunities. To play this way effectively, you want a build that's comprised of a high mobility specialization to minimize the increased risk of death and allowing quick entry into fights, plus gadgets that open opportunities for attack such as sonar grenades, thermal bore, gateway, and everything else I listed. I do want to highlight gateways for a second here, because these can be used as both an aggressive option and a survivability option, making it a perfect choice for those that want to have a bit more safety in their build on top of the high mobility specialization. With this playstyle, you'll be playing at close and mid ranges often, so you'll want a weapon that is also good at close or mid range. This means avoiding weapons like the bow and the sniper, because they're more effective from mid to long range. They can still work technically, but they're not optimal for this style, and that goes for everything in the not optimal category. The opportunistic style, being more about safety and waiting for the perfect moment to strike rather than forcing moments, will comprise of a specialization that focuses on keeping you under the radar or at a safe distance, and gadgets that are good for escaping or isolating someone during an engagement. Gadgets such as vanishing bomb, stun gun, and tracking dart are great choices among the class exclusives, and of course there are others. With this playstyle, depending on how you're playing it, most weapons can work, with the worst choice being the sword, only because it feels like a crime to not use it with evasive dash. The throwing knives are somewhat usable, but the advantages to using evasive dash with throwing knives greatly outweighs the other specializations, which ends up landing it in my not optimal category. Now on to describing the actual playstyles in more detail to help you decide which is for you. The aggressive playstyle has the potential of the highest reward, but also comes with the most risk. This playstyle is best suited for players that can function well in repeatedly risky and intense situations. This means quick thinking to avoid death, while also using quick thinking to cause an opponent's death. There's a fine balance that needs to be reached here to stop yourself from getting too aggressive that you end up dying or trading a life for a life. You'll be using the gadgets at your disposal to help create more opportunities for attacks, but you want to avoid going in without first thinking about your next move, your opponent's next move, and your escape plan if things go wrong, or even if they go right. You see, the tricky part about playing light is that although light's weapons are the highest damaging on average, you also have the lowest health, which means you don't want to fight someone head on at the start of an engagement if it can be avoided. And if you're struggling with light, this is probably what you're doing wrong. Catching someone by surprise is what the mobility from your specialization and the opportunities created from your gadgets are for. Quick thinking is what you need to make yourself slippery enough that you don't end up face to face with an enemy and rather surprise them. This playstyle, despite everything negative you may hear about it and the players that play this way, is also actually really great for reviving your team. The same slipperiness you'd be using to get away from your opponents can be used to grab your teammates' trophies mid-fight and get somewhere safe to revive them. You'd be surprised at how easy it is to get away with multiple revives of fight with some quick thinking and simmering down on the aggression. The opportunistic playstyle is a bit more relaxed, but still dangerous. With the added safety of invisibility, distance, or both, this playstyle is better suited for more patient players. If you're playing this style with a long-ranged weapon, such as the sniper or bow, you'll be most concerned about finding a good position and angle to support your team with damage, taking your time to find good shots, and possibly an elim or two. Once you attract too much attention, whether you're at a long range or not, you'll reposition or use one of your gadgets, such as the stun gun, to increase your odds of winning a one-on-one engagement. Playing this way at a distance and being uncontested is the ideal scenario, but it's unlikely to happen often. If playing with a mid or close ranged weapon, you'll be playing slightly differently. You'll be observing the fight from a safe place that's somewhat close and waiting for someone to isolate themselves so you can pick them off. This can take some time to happen and is what many impatient players will struggle with. Timing your engagement in this situation can be hard for someone that's used to playing hyper aggressively, because in my experience, you'll end up wanting to use mobility that you don't have to get in quicker or get out quicker after you're done. The gadgets like the stun gun will be used in the same way as with the sniper example to make engagements more favorable for you, and gadgets like the vanishing bomb can help with safely getting out when you think you might get cornered. Ideally, if you're isolating someone, you'll want to get them before any of their teammates have time to show up and help, but if you fail, your gadgets and specialization should help you escape. There is an element of slipperiness, similar to the aggressive playstyle here, but much more discreet. While this playstyle can offer less reward, the lower risk of death could mean that it ends up netting you more elims than you otherwise would have gotten with the other playstyle. And people that perfect this style will be just as big of a threat as even the best aggressive players. You may have noticed that the grapple hook was a specialization choice for both playstyles. It's not an ultra-aggressive specialization like evasive dash, and it doesn't necessarily have to be used as an opportunistic specialization like the cloaking device, but it can work in both playstyles, which means it can also be used as a bridge that allows you to switch between the two playstyles freely, simply by making slight changes in your gadgets. The weapons that are best suited for this hybrid style are mid-ranged weapons like the SMGs or pistols, so it's easier to switch styles. But in reality, any weapon you like will do. Despite everything that I've gone over in this guide, Light's gadgets as a whole are so great that you can pretty much put any three together with any specialization and it'll work, which is why at the start I said your build isn't as strategy defining as it is with medium. The most important thing about Light is that you're accomplishing the goal I left on screen, and what that requires more than a good build is above average aim and a good method for avoiding damage, both of which can only really be improved with practice and learning from your mistakes. The better your aim, the less you have to worry about avoiding damage. The better you are at avoiding damage, the less you have to worry about aim. But get great at both, and you'll see just how strong Light can be. Thanks for watching.